All right, get up in here. Get up in here. Feeling the vibes, man. I know. I'm getting the eyes already. Listen, you know, I would explain all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. It was a lot that went on, but we got guests in the studio today, and we got observers here in the studio, which is a true testament of how this show is growing by leaps and bounds. So we do apologize for the delay, but please get up in here. Let's see. Yes. Get up in here. I'm getting all these texts. I'm getting all these texts. But seriously, I don't throw anybody up under the bus. It's none of y'all's business what happened behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? We just come in here bright and early, ready to get it started. To announce what this show is, this is Good Life. Good Life Ohio presents Good Friday. Good Friday is a show that taps into mental health, togetherness, communication, unity, and just putting a lot of things in the air that makes us feel better. Why? Because our thoughts create feelings, our feelings create emotion, emotion creates vibration, and vibration, of course, we become magnets. We become magnets to what we want, you know. Somebody really put out the other day that you say you want peace, but you talk in a confrontational way. You say you want peace, but you let everything anger you and bother you. So how can you say you want peace when you don't provide the environment of peace for yourself? So I've been learning to put these things into practice and not to let people get power or have the power over me. Because even the word of God says, you know, be slow to anger. Slow to anger and slow to wrath. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to think rationally. So this is what this show is all about, man. Of course, most people think when I bring up this show is all about me and this is my show. No, it's not. It's the dude on to your right. This is his show. And, you know, it was a blessing when he did bring his platform to what I'm trying to do, into my vision. And when you got two heads better than one, you got two geniuses working together, something good is bound to happen. Again, you can't see her, but one of my students is in the building. Tony is here. Tony is here to observe and soak up the knowledge, man. It's because it's all about each one teach one. We pass on the knowledge and they gain the knowledge. But without further ado, man, welcome. Not welcome to the show. It's his show. Tim is in the building.
Good morning, everybody. That was a nice little week break we took. You know, I think everybody needs to take time to realign and regroup and just review what you've been doing. You know, sometimes it's easy to just stay gung-ho in your work and not take the step to actually check your quality of work. You know what I mean? Especially when you've been doing what you do for a long time.
Yes.
That's when you got to be even more thorough because it's easy for things to slip through the cracks. So I love this show. And what people don't get about the show is this probably helps us more than it helps y'all. And that's what's going to keep helping the show grow.
Yeah.
We're learning from the conversations we have.
Oh, and we encourage, please comment. Good morning, sweetheart. Yeah, listen, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that happens. So I know that a lot of our regulars and our loyalists, they anticipate 9 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So we do apologize. But yeah, man. Can I say something before you get started?
Absolutely.
So I was watching, and I like these vibes. So let's get with these vibes for a few more minutes. I was watching the Tyler Perry documentary, and it is a very good documentary. And I won't give you the spoiler if you haven't seen it already. But man, there's two things that I took from it, and one is kind of piggybacking off what you said. Sometimes you have to go slower to do things right. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Of course, a lot of people learn through trial and error, and that's one thing. But when you get it right, when you take your time and say, okay, you know, because a lot of times this is why people work for something for so long, because they're missing steps. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact that we take our time and say, okay, this is what we need. Let's put this peg here. Let's put this peg here, but not worry about the numbers, worry about the views, but just make sure that we present right. I think that's what really propels people to where they need to be. So, you know, a lot of times and when me and Tim started, Tim knew that I was on go, 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 go. And Tim was like, no, just, you know, we want to do it, but we want to make sure that we do it right. And I appreciate Tim for that, you know what I'm saying? But then having that confirmation through the documentary, it really, you know, confirmed like, man, you really have to do things right and present well. So, you know, and the other thing, of course, is I realized that forgiveness is a journey. It's not just something that you do one time. You have to continually forgive people. And unforgiveness really does hold you back from blessings. Like, you can still move forward, but there's so many things that you will put into your spirit and distractions that you will allow because you're running from something or you're just trying not to deal with something. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's that unforgiveness or that unwillingness to look at that trauma and say, how are we going to heal? And that's one thing that I commend Tyler Perry for, is that he had to succeed through failure. He had to succeed through the naysayers and just a non-supportive parent. He had to succeed through people telling him how buffoonery he was. And then not only that, he had to battle himself. You know what I'm saying? He had to really look at himself and say, man, what am I doing this for? You know, and still having the balls to move forward. I was saying, man, after this documentary, I look at this man in a completely different light. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why we need context before we form opinions about people's lives. And a lot of people don't know he wasn't originally going to play Medea. The person playing Medea actually dropped out. And last minute, he was just like, all right, show must go on.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta figure it out. And then they liked it, so he's like, all right, he stayed with it. It was in the plays. And I love the plays.
Yeah.
More than I like the movies. The plays was more authentic, I would say. But movies sometimes are fabricated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I agree with everything you said. And I picked that up from Rick Ross, you know what I mean? Something he said to me in the beginning when I started listening to him was, he said, study the greats. So I'm like, okay, I start studying the greats.
Yeah.
And then he came along and he was saying a lot of people think speed is built through quickness, but speed is built through efficiency. You learn how to do what you're doing quickly because you're efficient, because you actually know the ins and outs of what you're doing. So you have to slow down to a point to be able to review what you're doing, but also compare what other people are doing to what you're doing and try to figure out your way that makes the most sense.
Sure.
And a lot of times we get hindered up because we're in denial about being in denial. You know what I mean? And this is why even things like forgiveness, I always look for within. Like, I don't really practice forgiving other people because honestly, you did nothing wrong. You know what I mean? This impasse that we're at, it happened because I allowed it to happen. So what I have to forgive is what I allowed to. I'm forgiving myself for allowing you to take advantage of me, for allowing you to steal from me. You know what I mean? I'm forgiving myself from looking in and realizing I don't really like who that person I was at 20. I don't like who that person I was at 25. So I'm forgiving myself for being that person. You know what I mean? And we create that version of ourselves for survival. So then we got to forgive ourselves for needing to survive, for staying in that state for so long, for not getting to our present, and not getting to our future. Because a lot of times our life, that's that clip I wanted to share, like how we live through punishment sometimes through other people. Like, those are the trauma bonds. We have people around to do certain things in our life. You might have somebody fix a car. You might have somebody that cooks for you. But we put people in our life for specific reasons. So when we start healing from within, when we start forgiving ourselves for these things, we relieve, like, we don't need all these people. You know what I mean? We don't need people placed in our life to do specific things. We already did that up front. And in the beginning, I lived in trying to forgive other people and trying to get closure. But sometimes that never comes. Sometimes the person is never like, yo, I was the problem. So I had to start realizing I need to figure out a way where I can still heal, but I'm not putting my hurt onto you. I'm also not making you feel bad for how I feel. You know what I mean? So the way I got out of that is just always looking in the mirror. Like, what did you do to allow this? Did you not speak up? Did you not show up? Are you in the wrong company? You know what I mean? And we really have to look down to the lowest common denominator. Like, how is this my fault? How can I do something different than this?
So I understand that we allow certain things to happen, but what about those enemies that formulate these weapons, these psychological weapons, and we have no idea why this person is angry with me, or we don't know why this person is jealous of me, or what have you, because we did. I don't, even though they say the universe, you attract that, but I'm like, I don't warrant somebody to, put objects in my way of my goal, but like you're saying, it's like there are enemies out there that really just want to see you not succeed, or they really want to see you not do well. So how would that be my fault that this person has a problem with me?
Because I think first we have to release the idea they're doing it to us. It's happening around us. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And the analogy I would say is, imagine it's you and your neighbor. Sure. Neither one of y'all have eaten. You know what I mean? The store says we got one last meal left. Whoever get here first, get it. It's not you versus them. You get what I'm saying? Like, they're not your problem. Your problem is, why is this your only meal to have? That's your fault. You know what I mean? Okay. In desperate times, we're like, man, I just gotta eat. I'm so starving. Like, a series of choices we made got us here. Yeah. It's not our neighbor's fault now, because they're hungry too and they want to get to the food, so they're willing to do whatever they takes to get over us to get to the food, to deceive and lie to us to get to the food. That's not them against us. But again, that's how society's pinned. They make it seem like your neighbors are against each other, but really y'all beefing with the landlord. But they live somewhere else and they're in a whole different race, so y'all don't really run into them. So it would never seem like they're really opposing you or they're the problem. But they created this scenario you live in. But again, you allowed yourself to get to the point with no food and no money. And it's easy for people to say, well, I didn't know any better. Right. Like, yeah, but you knew enough to go buy them cigarettes. You knew enough to go eat out. You knew enough to get that liquor. Right. You knew enough to get that new Gucci belt. So, again, it's all your fault, because if you had a food full of fridge, you would never be in this situation. So, even in one scenario, I could have did something different to get away from this. It's my fault. It means I didn't take all of my options. You dig what I mean? I knew there was gonna be that meal, so I'm like, I don't have to have food in the fridge, and that day come up, the meal come, but today my neighbor hungry too. Yeah. So instantly I think like, oh, my neighbor, like, why you hungry? You ain't never been hungry. You never wanted that meal. But really, what I should be saying is, why am I depending on this one meal? Yeah. When it might be 3 people in the neighborhood who haven't eaten, it might be 4. You know what I mean? So then I have to apologize and forgive myself for not being like humble. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not factoring in other people, just being selfish and thinking about myself.
What's funny is that it took, a wise person to break down the story of Joseph, because I was like, in the end, Joseph got the reward, because for those who not, familiar with the Bible story, is that Joseph was the son of, I believe, Jacob, and he was favored by his father, so he gave him a coat of many colors, and he was jealous by his brothers. So based on that jealousy, he was ridiculed, he was beaten, he was, they dug a ditch, threw him in a hole, and really, just ridiculed and persecuted. And I'm putting these similes to Tyler Perry. So, as Joseph goes out on his journey, he's jailed and he's put in jail, and God gives him these dreams, and there's I know a guy who knows how to interpret these dreams. So therefore, the king's like, hey, tell me about the dream. Joseph tells him the dream, like, oh, he's valuable, and then Joseph is also good with money, so he makes him, one of the high court people, that's in charge of the money of the kingdom. So all of a sudden there's famine in the land, right? And from the famine in the land, everybody's starving, including his family that he's long gone. And so the family makes this journey and saying, man, we're going to have to put a plea to the high court to see if we can get some relief. So when they get to the high court, they see that, oh, my brother's on the throne. You know what I'm saying? So, but they're automatically like, oh my God, this is what I did to him. Like, yo, he's never going to, you know what I'm saying? And he comes and says, yo, nuh-uh. That's in the past. Yeah. Take all this stuff. So, but in my thinking, I'm like, he won because he got elevated to the position. He said, no, he won because he forgave. Yeah. He didn't even look at himself like, I'm this Joseph person. It's like, I'm in a position to help. Yeah. here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I don't want any more problems on me. I mean, I understand the problems that it took and the journey it took to get here.
Yeah.
And so it goes back to what somebody said before. Sometimes God won't bless you because he knows that you want to seek revenge on the people that did this. Or you want to stunt on the people that doubted you. And that's not when I think when the universe of God elevates you, it's to really, you know what I'm saying, stay humble, stay in a state. That way you can continue to be in a position to give, not receive, but be in a am I right or wrong?
No, you're right. And I think you made my point in that story. And that's how I look at it. I don't want to condemn people who forgive other people.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But in that story, what I heard, I heard he didn't have to forgive them because he was never upset. He never blamed them for his circumstances.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's my point. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it wouldn't be good to forgive somebody, but if I'm never upset at you in the first place, what would I have to forgive you for? Ooh. Why would you have to be sorry? You're not my problem. You dig what I'm saying? I only have to forgive you when I'm blaming you for what happened to me. So then I learned to forgive myself because I shouldn't be blaming you to begin with. That's my problem.
Because I was admitting to myself that if I was in that position, I'll make him suffer a little bit.
Me too. I'm going to make you feel it. You know what I mean? But I think that is where we get into the part where we had to separate truth from honesty. And this is what a lot of people are afraid of, especially from the black man, because we can be honest. You know what I mean? Like, the speakers I listen to, the voices I listen to, like, they're radicals. You know what I mean? Like, Louis Farrakhan's a radical.
Yeah.
Like, he talks about if you come into his house messing with his wife and daughters, like, he's going to kill you. Like, I'm not going to talk to you. I ain't going to call the police. Like, I will kill you behind something like that.
Right.
And we have to live in that honesty because a lot of times as black men, we lead with our kindness. And we lead with this kind of soft-spokenness. And we need to really be who we are. And I need people to feel me.
And you know what I mean? Because at this point, I don't have a feeling towards you. Yeah. You're intruding. I don't have a feeling.
It's all principle.
I'm going to neutralize the situation.
Yeah. And I would do this to anybody. So you ain't even special. I would do this to anybody. But that's where a lot of us were getting discouraged. That's where a lot of us were becoming fearful. You know what I mean? Because the radicals were getting killed off. Like, you know, they were killing the Fred Hamptons. They were trying to take down Huey. Like, look at what they did to Nelson Mandela. Like, people don't know Mandela was actually on the Americans' terrorist to watch list until 2018. Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
He's in prison for like 35 years, became the president of South Africa, and Americans still considered him a terrorist. That's why these things like are dangerous when you start getting attached to titles and what people are trying to tell you are. And that's why I always live in my honesty. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to get caught up in what people are saying, especially when you're younger and they're saying you're not good enough. You're never going to be Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? And you hear a lot of that when you're a kid and you don't know how to filter through that. You feel me? So for me, I had to learn to stay away because I was constantly living in this state like, they didn't mean to hurt me. I need to learn to forgive them. And you know, what would God do? And I'm constantly trying to intellectualize what happened instead of feeling what happened. But again, we were not taught that. We weren't taught feel your feelings. We were taught tuck them feelings in deep and don't let them ever surface again. You know what I mean? Like, and that affects your whole life.
But I want to let that breathe about Nelson Mandela because it was like a lot of his philosophies came through those prison walls.
Yeah.
And how the fact that he didn't hold that against him after 20 some years and still 30. So and then it goes back to say that's why I love your insight because even Dave Chappelle says when they gathered and they really dug up the root of apartheid, they said in order to heal, we have to get everyone together and everyone tell their side of what they did. Everybody has to talk because when you get to the reason of why did you do this, you don't even realize that they were oppressed or they. Am I talking?
Yeah.
So that was Tyler Perry's great moment with his father because he was like, oh, once I dug in the background, he was not, he was adopted and he was abused. And the way that, you know what I'm saying, she got him to mind was the abuse. And I'm like, man, through that understanding, you had to step outside of yourself to feel like, why are you this way?
Yeah.
And that's where we get the understanding from. But it's hard because all we do is look at the abuser. all we do is look at the violator, and we don't understand why they're violating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you hear the first person that ran out with an issue. You hear the first person that cried for help, and you assume the other one's the aggressor. You assume the other one's in the wrong. You know what I mean? And that's happened with countless people, and that's the problem. The problem is people aren't being heard out. You know what I mean? We can even fit Kanye into the mix. Kanye, for the longest, didn't know. His mom literally told his dad, like, if you come looking for him, I'm going to keep him away altogether. She took him away from him and moved him to Chicago, to one of the worst parts, because she could get government assistance. And, hey, he didn't know that. He thought his dad just didn't want to be around. So when he got older, he's like, yo, why was you around? He's like, they literally moved us in one of the worst neighborhoods in the world. Like, it's like they was trying to kill me. They moved me to the hood of Chicago.
Right.
He's like, where was you at? And then he showed him the stuff, and the message, he was like, literally, your mom told me I had to stay away. And there's so many men that grow up with that perception, too. I did, too, to an extent, like that your dad's the problem, and then you get the whole story.
Man.
And that's a lot to unpack. You know, to heal from that, you want to forgive somebody. You want to let that type of pain, you want to let that hurt go. But now you need to feel that, because you're not going to be able to sympathize or empathize with the person who's being considered the villain. Right. You're only going to empathize with who you consider the victim. So that's why I feel like the world created this victim mentality, because they're trying to recruit us to be upset by the people they're upset by.
Right.
But what if we just let all that anger go? Like, what if we let that hurt go? That's what should be the first way. But I think this is what leads into the T.I. situation, too. I think a lot of people are being coddled. A lot of people are not being, like, let them cry themselves to sleep. I'm that type of parent. You dig what I'm saying? Like, self-soothe, my G. Like, I ain't about to go pick you up every 5 minutes. Especially, I know you crying over nothing. You was running the house, I told you to stop, and you hit your head. Like, if you ain't got to go to the hospital, go lay it down. You feel me? Like, I'm not, this, you got to learn from this. And, two, I know if I come interject with this, you're healing now, I'm going to have to always interject when it comes to your healing. So we got to start giving people that encouragement to do it on their own. But look at us as kids. So many people are quick to just, oh, let me do that for you. Let me get that. Like, even my kids be like, I got it. Like, I got it.
Sorry,
so
babe.
We gotta let people get to their healing more. And I think what's went wrong is we are trying to heal for people. People are living in the guilt of how they hurt others. So they're trying to speed their healing along. They're trying to, help them get through things. But again, to me, forget waiting till you get sick to get the medicine. Like, we should be doing preventative medicine. We got to stop getting sick. Like, that has to be the formula, you dig? But this formula we have now, that's why we keep getting the same dose of conversations. Who's 50-50? Who pays all the bills? Who's a single mom? Who's two-parent household? Like, we having the same discussions that go nowhere because they have no basis. The true foundation we need to be figuring out is, does what you do make you happy? Do the people around you celebrate you? Do the people around you uplift you? And we have so many people that around us don't. We have to constantly guess or pick and choose. Why is Delayne a good person? Tony's a good person, but I got these 5 people over here that mistreat me. So it's hard for me to see y'all for who y'all really are and what y'all really do. Like,
so the objective part of that, right?
Yeah,
is because whenever,
right.
But then, okay, so in the comments, I'm giving you context now.
Yeah.
In the comments, what I didn't like is, why is he so angry? He's been spoiled. He's been handled everything.
You're talking about T.I. and King?
King. I'm talking about King. So context is King.
Okay.
Why is he so spoiled? He's not like that, this, that, and the other. And they did not validate all the pain that was going on inside that kid.
Yeah.
So you can't say, hear me out, in one hand, and then deal with it. Just deal with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I even had, until we've had these conversations of like, what are you mad about? You have 2 parents. You have a house. You can get brand new shoes anytime you want. But there is needs when it comes to Pavlov's needs. We need that tribe. We need that feeling of protection. And so when kids feel like, well, I did this on my own. You didn't have anything to do with this. A parent will, look self-righteous like, well, I gave you this. No, I did this on my own. Mm-hmm. You weren't there. You know what I'm saying? You were touring. You were doing this. So you really weren't there. You weren't there the nights I was scared. You weren't there. So it took me a while to be unlike those people in the comments, like, oh, he's just a spoiled, this, that, and the other. Somebody really had to put in a post like, do you know what this baby done went through? You know what I'm saying? Do you really know the demons that go on inside him, even being a privileged child? So give me that balance of hear me out, but you gotta strap on your boots, my G.
I think this is the difficulty of mental health in general, because you have to take in consideration what somebody's saying, even when it sounds outlandish or ridiculous. So two things can be true. You know what I mean? The parents can be right about what they're saying, and King could be right, and he could be spoiled, and also they could have did everything that they possibly could to help him. You know what I mean? So
good morning.
So two things can be true, and that's kind of where I am at it. I believe the aspect of me loving my kids unconditionally is sometimes I give them the benefit of the doubt when it's not warranted. But they've earned that. They've done something no one else has been able to do. They've come from me, so they've earned that. You know what I mean? But there still has to be a level that we keep them in check and we challenge them and we don't let them just live in what they feel, because again, they're still kids and they don't know how they fully feel. You know what I mean? They may tell their parent they hate them the next day, and one day they ask you for Jordans. Like, they don't know how they feel about you. You know what I mean? They're reacting to their circumstances. That's a lot of their reality. So the issue is, though, it feeds to what I was saying off air about Andre 3000 and him saying, like, being a celebrity is unnatural. That's not something we should be experiencing. This many people being aware of us and knowing who we are and having opinions about our life and having access to us. So I think the issue is, and I had to say this to a lot of people, because I was reading up on T.I. and King in the comments, and a lot of people were like commenting based on, this is what I seen happen on the show. Like, you realize that's like an hour, and usually they shoot them shows in like 2 weeks. Like, this is not real life. This is not their real life situation. This is not how they deal with things and talk to things. So we have to give the grace to T.I. and Tiny that they know their kid way more than we know their kid. You dig what I mean? So that would kill a lot of people's opinions about this. And then the parents who are defending T.I. and Tiny, I think this is a real issue. I think there are a lot of kids who don't have a voice in their home, and they kind of just get stuck in that, well, your childhood is better than mine, so what you crying about? Mm-hmm. And that's not an argument. You know what I mean? That's not logic, because the things you're giving me, I didn't ask for. So it's hard for you to say, I'm doing this for you. You feel me? Like,
let me go back.
Like you're doing this for self.
Let me go back, because I love Dre, right? So, always got to be the objective person here.
Absolutely.
That statement can sound like this sometimes. You tell your business on Facebook, and you want everybody, you want this attention. But then when somebody in the comments says something you don't like, oh, stay out of my business, and this is my business. So, and Wendy Williams said this about Cardi B. When Cardi B first comes into, celebrity, and she doesn't realize how crucial paparazzi and the press can be. And, Cardi B says in a statement, you guys are so intrusive, and you guys are this, that, that. Wendy Williams gets on her show when she's healthy. She said, no, baby, you can't have it both ways, because you fight to get this celebrity. You know what I'm saying? You work hard to get this celebrity. To really be a famous person, you really have to work. And then the whole time you're saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. Please buy my album. Please buy my book. Please go see my movie. But then, you're elevated amongst everybody. The whole philosophy, when you're elevated, those are trying to take you down. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're living a life that we can only imagine, right? That we could live, because now you're living in opulence. You get to drive the best cars. You get to eat the best food. You get to go to the best vacations. So when you do something that's less than stellar, we now get to look at you like, oh, you're less than perfect. Let's point out this to make us feel better. You know what I'm saying? So when you're right, Dre is right. Like, celebrity is unnatural, but we every day, even, with the introduction of social media, we fight for this attention every single day. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to say fight for it, though. And not many people choose to be a celebrity. Celebrity is more something that happens to you. And I think it's random. I don't think you can train to be a celebrity. Because look at a lot of the kids who did that went through Disney and Nickelodeon. Like, they all crashed out. Look at people like Britney Spears. Like, So I that's why I think it's unnatural, because the people who are most fit for it usually either commit suicide or depressed. And just because you have money and fame and success and you work hard, don't mean you're happy. See, that I think that's the difference.
Yes.
And Wendy Williams is a hypocrite. I've seen her get rattled many times when people call her out. So she can't have it two ways. Whitney Houston called her out and she got rattled. She can't have it two ways.
But so is she wrong? That's the thing.
I mean, she can be right, but again, me opening the door through one thing doesn't open the door for another. So she's wrong in that aspect. Okay. Just because I allow you to come follow me on social media don't mean I'm inviting you into my house. You can't make that argument. And paparazzi are going through people's trash can. Right. That's unnatural. How can you justify that unless you're a part of the messy people keeping this going? Okay. That's TMZ stuff. That's not normal. See, beat up paparazzi because they pulled up on him on his car. But that's not justified just because you're saying, well, you're a celebrity, so we should be able to film you. What?
I go through this with my significant other a lot because she says, why would you share this? Do you know these people's lives, this, that, this, that, and the other? And I'm like, I don't, but I am part of the journalist community. Right. I'm part of the content creation community. So in order to stay up and be knowledgeable, and for my particular brand, I have to share something that's going to get people talking. That's something, so I am guilty of clickbait. I am guilty of these certain things or phrasing things. And she says, well, you have to be careful because people can start to think that these are your thoughts. I'm like, I don't care at this point. That's their problem, right?
See,
you can formulate what you want.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. What I'm saying more so, I guess, is times have changed. Right. You know what I mean? So back in the day, that would apply. Doctors actually cared about the Hippocratic Oath. Journalists actually cared about telling the truth. Nowadays, people do stuff for money. So you can't apply the same principle off back in the day towards this.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And Wendy Williams was part of that turn to people do this for money now and not for journalism. So again, I get the argument, but why are you making an argument on account of somebody else's life? If somebody asks you to stay back, stay back. You don't get to say, no, you're the president. No, you're the CEO. No, that's not how. And this, again, is the problem. Too many people were coddled. Not enough people have boundaries. Too many people was able to just sniff around their parents all day and their parents not be like, yo, back up. Like, give me 5 feet. You were just able to do whatever you want. So now that you're in the real world, you think we have to allow you to do these things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I ain't your mom, I ain't your dad. I don't. Like, I don't have to baby you. I don't have to work around your insecurities and trauma. I just get to live my life. It doesn't matter if I'm a celebrity, I'm rich, I'm broke, I'm happy, I'm sad. I get to live my life, and no one gets to dictate how I live my life.
Yes.
But we've signed over so many of our rights. We just give up our social. We'll just sign our name on this contract. People believe they can do whatever with us. We've enabled them to think that. So again, if I'm in that position, I'm not mad at you. I gave you the power to oppress me. I'm mad at me. You dig what I'm saying? Like Alder Gray said, Masada Shakur, like, she said, you can't make a slave out of an educated man. So as much as you want to blame them for enslaving you, why didn't you educate yourself to where they couldn't enslave you? Because then I have nothing to blame you for. You dig? To me, that's spirituality. That's how I live my life. I'm going to go ahead and heal this so no one can manipulate me in this area. I'm going to go ahead and not want for anything, because that creates adversity. This feeds into what you were saying earlier. The reason people have so many ops is because they want so much. As soon as you start wanting something, you're creating an opposition. I don't like the mornings. I want it to be night all the time. I'm creating beef with everyone who loves the sun. That's how simple it is. I don't have to know you. But as soon as I want something and it takes away from what you want, we have reasons to oppose each other. So how do I heal that? I stop wanting so much stuff. And then, too, you're dealing with the depression of constantly wanting something because you're constantly reminding yourself you don't have it. I want money. I want companionship. I want love. I want people to call me back. So you're constantly reminding yourself these things aren't happening. So my journey became to forgiveness. Stop wanting for things, because then I don't have to forgive Delayne for knocking me out the way to go get the sandwich because he was hungry too. Then I don't have to forgive this person for stealing from me because I didn't need that coat anyways. I got a coat. I know how to stay warm. So you took that from me. I can now look at this as you needed that more than I did. You know what I mean? And someone can say this is right. Someone can say this is wrong, but I like to take it from Jim Carrey. Like, He said, the funny thing I like to do about life is I like to take my hardships and make them feel like something I can accomplish, something that I can conquer. And a lot of people talk about their hardships like they're already defeated, like they've already lost. You know what I mean? So I don't want to blame people. I don't want to be mad at people. I just want to be better. You dig?
So let's go back to this wanting so much, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can formulate enemies that are jealous of who God has made you to be, not based off of what you have. There have been plenty of times, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is that you have way more than what I have. Why are you mad at me? Because my rays, when I come into the room, are shining because I don't need that. There are people that are mad at me because I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have the car, the house, the neighborhood, and I'm content. Why don't you like me? You know what I'm saying? So it's not always, why do we want so much? Why do we want so much? Sometimes people are just jealous at the gifts that God naturally gave you, you know what I'm saying? And that you are happy with. And that's what I have a problem with.
Well, it's still the mirror. It still fits into wanting, because what you're describing is what we talked about on the show before. You've become the mirror. Like, people are jealous because they see how people talk to you. They see how people talk about you. They see the type of love you get. They see you can go through a hardship and you still laughing and having a good time. That is your wants. You want it to be great. Greatness comes at a cost. That's what people don't get. See, but this is why I want to separate greatness from celebrity. These celebrities man-made. Like, that's not a real thing. That's what I mean by it's unnatural. People create that for validation, to feel important, to feel like people wanted to know about their life. Social media made the follow, so people feel like they're leading something. All of these things aren't random. You know what I mean? So that's still wanting something. When I get up out of bed and want to read and want to stretch, I want to be great. I want to be better than I was last year. Yeah. That's going to be offensive to someone who knows I'm not about to change who I am. Yeah. I'm not about to change how I talk to people. Yeah, my woman say I'm too aggressive, but this is just how I am. So I am going to intimidate and threaten every belief system they have, and it's only because I don't think like that. But I'm not saying wanting is a bad thing, because their issue with me is the mystery. They can't figure out how I'm like this. They don't understand why God's favoring me and not them. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's because I'm God. I do all this to myself. There's not some other entity doing this for me.
Right.
I used to do everything they did. You know what I mean? I talk shit through experience. I just stopped one day. I made a conscious choice to stop, and that is when my life changed. It wasn't when I got more money. It wasn't when I got more friends. It wasn't when I got more followers. It was when I decided the way I was living is no longer suffice. It's no longer good enough for me. The way I talk to people, the way I allow people to talk to me is no longer suffice. I can't be a hypocrite. I can't be out here asking for people to respect, and I don't demand respect for myself.
Right.
So all of these things is how we're living. And that's the basis of, I'm never upset with other people. But can I be disappointed in you? Absolutely. Because now that fits the same bill. If you're jealous enough to identify these things are helping me in my life, but you don't have the insight to give it to yourself, yes, I'm disappointed in you. And I see how critical you are of other people. And I see how you talk to your kids about being perfect and being this upstanding person. I'm very disappointed in you. Wow. But again, people aren't used to being talked like that. So then they hear, oh, you don't like me. Oh, no. Absolutely, that's not the case. Again, two things can be true. You think what I'm saying? I could also respect you and not like you. Yeah. These things don't have to be in the same lines. But to a person who needs that to be true, that's what happens. So a lot of times we enter these conversations. You ever notice somebody asks you a question, but it seems like they already got the answer before you even get it out your mouth? And younger me used to just try to be in that to show them the other side. But then I had to realize, why am I even a part of this? Like, I don't like this. Right. Yeah. And as much as I keep telling you I don't like it, you laugh it off and do it again. What other information do I need to see, like, that you don't rock with me, that you don't care for me? You know what I mean?
Listen, this whole thing, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Everything you've been saying is like what I've been downloading leading into my birthday. It's like the things that people feel about me, I'm still possessing something on the inside that's attracting this type of jealousy or envious.
Sure.
Like, it is something, it still points to me. And it's easy to point at another person and be like, oh, you this and you're that. But what am I doing to give this sense to bring these same people into my court instead of bringing exactly what it is I need, which is faithful people, which is the village, which is the community. And they are there, they are coming in, but still the fact that I entertain and deal with certain things, I know it's because it's something deeper inside of me that I have to tap into. Like, like I have to let go of, like you were saying, I was listening on the way here, the people who hurt me. Yeah. Not placing blame anymore, like on anything. Like yesterday was a big eye opener walking to get gas, and it was like I could have been like, but the only person to blame was me. Like I was the only person to look in the mirror and be like, you are responsible for everything in life right now. Like everything that is happening to you, every single thing is your responsibility.
Before that.
Oh yeah.
We got.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hey.
Everybody, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Wagwan, another trip around the sun. You know.
25 years young in the
yes,
building.
20 and a half. 20 and a half.
Happy
birthday.
Hey, there it is. Thank you. So now we can, you are here.
I apologize again for my tardiness. Thank y'all.
No, it's your birthday.
Yeah,
We're
thank you for
here.
the energy
We're here.
that said, like my son was like, I knew I should have. I said, no, listen, I purposely took my time. You said something about taking time, and I literally not integrity wise.
Yes.
Obviously, not to disrespect what you got going on or anything like that.
Absolutely.
But in my mode, I was like, no, slow down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
That's what we talked about. Yeah.
Like breathe. Like you will get there, and thank God that y'all are here to get it started. Like you know what I'm saying? Yes. To y'all in position, and that y'all was here, and that I communicated. That 10 minutes was a longer 10 minutes than what I said. But I'm thankful nonetheless of just excuse me, even in that growth, like no, slow down. Like you don't owe anybody anything. And at the end of the day, you owe it to yourself to show up first for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the anxiety is real. You know, the pressure that we put on ourselves to be there for other people, to even be in position. I hate that term, be in position.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's a church thing. Be in position. And not that you don't want to be in position, but I guess trusting and understanding that as we are healing within self and healing those that are around us, like we have to just really, that's really walking by faith.
Yes.
Like I'm going to arrive. Not only am I going to arrive at the time I'm supposed to, but I'm going to arrive in one piece, like all sound in one body, like uninjured or unharmed. And in the flow of where y'all at, like you, all the nuggets you are dropping literally is everything I've been downloading this week of like, I know I should be hitting the next level. Like I know there's more. And what do I need to do to get more? Because I was feeling stuck. Like, man, I feel like I done everything. Like everything I should do, I done it already.
Right.
But there's still always something. And even after I gather these things, it's still going to be something else after that. Like I'm never going to reach an ultimate top. So I'm thankful, again, just to slow down for a moment and to really.
You getting some people saying, look, I ain't got my glasses on, but you get some people agreeing with you. Same. No, okay. So
thank you.
Tim just dropped a lot, and Wali just dropped a lot, but they don't realize that they dropped 3 different things. So we have to put all these things together, right? So, and I'm the type of person, I catch it all, right? So I'm always the asshole, the objective person. You know what I'm saying? Because there are people who live in villages where there is no time. There are people who live in places where there is no time, and they allow things to happen, right? So I get it. I totally get it. Then we go back to what Tim said in the earlier portion, and we definitely got to get to Tim getting to his bullet points, but I just want to bring all this together. So Tim says, we have to take responsibility and say, okay, I allow this. I allow this. This is my universe. But if I have pain, I also allow that as well, right? Now, the objective part, where I come in, we live in a a time society and a order society, which causes anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm.
It causes, I have to be at work on time.
Right.
I have to get to the bank before, because if you try to get to the bank at 5:30 and the bank closes at 5, guess what? You're not getting your money, right? Exactly. We need things. I need reliable transportation.
Mm-hmm.
I need reliable income, because this is how I get my products, goods, and services. This is how we get the clothes. This is how we send our kids to school. Blase, blase. So there are needs and there are wants. So for our audience, Tim,
mm-hmm.
are we to condemn their wants? Because even though, as Wali said, if we want to be at peace with ourselves, we have to operate on our own clock, right?
Right.
But we live in a society that forces their clock on us, and they force a lot of wants that we want on us as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, how do we get it all? You know what I'm saying? How do we spin all those plates to where there's some order? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I do.
Okay.
And I say we can condemn things, but we shouldn't. And I think that's a part of the issue. I think there's really only two options when it comes to any other person's issues. It's either you're going to support them or mind your business. You know what I mean?
That's right.
There really is no third option to where you have an opinion about what they're doing and you're not helping them through what they're doing. So I think that would like cure a lot of these situations in people. And then I think it's based on your purpose. You know what I mean? This is something that we have to self-regulate. I need to provide for my children. So I wanted to do that through having a business, but understanding through wanting a business, it comes with things you're going to need. Like you said, might need an LLC, you might need transportation, you might need a product to sell. You know what I mean? So that want will create a need, then you live through that purpose. So then once you get back to the want, it has to be based on how you're actually participating in the need. You dig what I mean? So let's say you want to clean your house every Tuesday, and the only way you take a break is if you clean your house. What's happened is a lot of people have negated cleaning the house to just taking the break, but you only get the break if you clean the house. So if what you need is not fulfilled, you shouldn't even be living in one. You shouldn't even be talking about what you want. You ain't even at that stage of your life yet. You got to give yourself what you need first. So what you may need is love. What you may need is understanding. What you may need is patience. What you may need is forgiveness. So you see how we go looking for these things in other people, and we haven't even thought to give it to ourselves. No one ever told us maybe give it to yourself first. No one ever said explore this before you go looking for it in the world. Yeah. That's where our wants are hurting us, because there's no need attached to it. We just want something. We want a break. I want relief. I want to be drugged up. I want to rest. You know what I mean? But what did you do in your 24 hours? Because we all got the same 24. Universal law is, what did you do in that 24 to deserve that break? This is how I live my life. I don't rest if I didn't do no work. What am I resting from? I don't celebrate if I haven't accomplished anything. Why are we partying? You can't have one without the other.
It's nothing wrong with rolling up or doing these things to celebrate, but what have you accomplished? And if you're going to smoke on a daily basis, do it in celebration mode. Do it as where you're celebrating all your goals or the things that you wanted to complete for that day. Don't just do it just to be doing it, because then that's wasting time. That's doing these other things. But now, if you're if you're breaking bread with someone, if it's a communal thing, it's different. It's so many things to celebrate or to do an action. And I think that we've gotten in a way of, we're so human.
We're self-serving.
I can see where you guys are saying when you're going out, what are we celebrating? But a lot of people do, medicate with, that beer or that blunt or whatever at night, because they do live a stressful life. So would you consider that question towards them?
They would have to answer that for themselves. Yeah. Do you feel like this is your only form of medication? Because if you do, you ain't doing the work. There's so many ways to medicate. The issue is not what you're choosing to use to medicate. The issue is that you're trying to rely on this. This is your medication. That's no different than going to get prescription pills. That's the same thing pharmacies are doing to you. They're telling you, you can only take this to fix your problem. Right. That's not the case. You feel me? But yeah, we believe that. And two, it's easy to just go with what you know.
Right.
It's hard to venture out when you've been trying something a bunch of times and it don't work for you. You know what I mean? So I think that's what we got to start giving to ourselves. I understand people are hurting. I understand people want to heal, but there's a right way to go about it for you. And it's not going to be my way. Right. It's not going to be what Bill Nye told you to do 20 years ago. Right. It's going to be what you've been experiencing, what you've been witnessing about your life. That's why sometimes when we get other people's opinion, it cloudies our vision about our own life because they don't have enough facts. Or they're biased. They need us to be healed. Because remember, I was going to let you land that $50 Friday. You good, bro? Like, they need me to be good. They, you feel me? But my kids really need me to be good. They just want me to be good.
Okay.
So they're disguising it as need. Again, these are a lot of things we hear in a day-to-day life. Someone will tell you, I want you to do that. But they really need you to do it.
Right.
They don't know what they're going to do if you don't do it. And you can feel that pressure on you. Like, man, if I don't come through for bro, like, he might end it all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's too much pressure for me. That's yes, you can look at that and say, yo, Tim's being a good friend, but are you being a good friend to me? Why didn't we discuss that? You know what I mean? Because usually most of us, I'm sure we were that person. We the bigger person. Yeah. Oh, bro, stop joking on him. Let that go. Walk away. Like, nah, if you set the tone for a situation, this the tone, baby. Like, that's how I live my life. Yeah. You dig what I mean? Like,
I got something to say, but she's
no, I'm here for it.
Because it all fits, and this is connects earlier to when I said, even when sometimes it feels like someone's in our way, it's not intentional. You know what I mean? Like, I love Marvel movies. I'm gonna give you one of the best quotes I ever heard in my life. But the character Loki, he essentially said, a lot of people think the bigger person is the aggressor. But if you really think about how life works, like, an ant has no quarrel with the boot. Like, the fact that I'm squishing you is not personal. Right. You in my way. And I'm so big, like, I didn't even see you down there. So I'm not stepping on you. I'm literally just walking through my living room and you happen to be in my way. So you can ask a person that. Should you feel bad about that? Should you regret just walking through your way knowing there's all these people that get crushed under your feet? Or should you just keep walking? Is that your problem or is it theirs?
So I will say this, but before I speak in Wali, thank you for 10. We're at 10. Hey. We're at 10. So continue to share. Everybody share this on your page. Continue to like, continue to comment. Wali's going to read the comments, but we got to get to these bullet points. But before that happens, good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Sunshine. Good morning, Jaleesa. Good morning, Natasha. Good morning, Amara. And DL, Deshaun, Autumn, everybody. Thank you. This is a statement, and it doesn't necessarily require a response. Mm-hmm. But here, before we get to Wali's point, and then we get to the bullet points, I would rather, because when I see that you have injured me, and then life is kicking your ass for being the person that you are, I don't get joy in that, right? I don't get joy in that. I would rather you have just not been the person that you were or did the deed that you did. So, when you see it on the flip side, like, and I see people like, that's what your ass get, or this, that, and the other. I'm not that guy. You know what I'm saying? You're that guy. You're a Scorpio, so I get that. You're a Scorpio. I don't get that.
Who am
I would rather you not, though.
Who am I to say falling on your face is not exactly what you need
to learn?
I didn't say that. I said, why do you get joy in that?
That's because you learned your lesson. Because hopefully you learned your lesson. Because nothing else was deterring you from feeling high and mighty and omnipotent till you fell on your face.
And I've seen stuff happen in real time. Like when I was at Ghana,
I know.
There was a situation.
I love it.
And somebody ended up having to pay American money, like a large amount of American money, because they got caught with something. But their energy was all off. Like they were carrying around this energy that didn't belong on this trip or in this retreat. And right into doing all of this, we got stopped. They particularly, this person had to pay money out. And all the connections it was your energy. Like you could have let that go. It was not needed. It was unnecessary. It's uncalled for. It would be like somebody getting upset for stepping on the shoe today. Like, okay, come on now.
Yeah.
If you have that type of hostility, we need to cancel you immediately.
You don't need to be in public.
I never said it. I don't say to myself, that's what your ass get.
No,
I'm just saying, I would rather you not be this person.
It makes me happy.
I feel like at
you
the
driving
end of the
reckless
day,
and hit something.
these are the opportunities. These are the stepping stones to grow.
Sure.
Like if we are just all in high and mighty and everything is perfect, we never get a chance to work on the inner parts of ourselves and the outer world, because everybody is experiencing something. If you would never experience anything to make you go, what are you doing?
Yeah, who's checking you throughout your day?
Who's holding you account? So you Jesus.
So how do you? So all right, audience. So how do y'all feel when somebody look at y'all like that's what your ass get?
I've already laughed it off before they can laugh.
I mean, at the end of the day, I live a life where I don't get many people to come back and say things to me. I really want that. I'm open for that because I feel like that's the way for me to heal and grow, and for them. Like,
are you welcoming or are you confrontational?
Talk back. Let me rewind. Because one of my homegirls, Kim from Florida, we just had a conversation this week, and it's been heavy on her for at least about like almost all this year from her. And it was her perception. And it wasn't something that she only noticed with me. It was in multiple relationships. But she had finally said to herself, hey, wait a minute. This relationship is too valuable to me for me to discard like I did everybody else. Like, she willing to be like, okay, she's an Aquarius, so
exactly.
Next.
So, no, I love it. I think when I speak on universal law, that's what I'm referring to. Is I can't laugh on your expense if I don't laugh at my own expense. Sure. Life is that simple for me. You know what I mean? I don't tell a joke if I can't take a joke. It's that simple. So everything I'm saying, someone has said to me. I have had to live through that experience. Exactly. And it was so minute to me. It didn't change my energy. My day still was Wednesday. You know what I mean?
Like yesterday, walking to get that gas. Like I had a whole like really, I wanted to I think the old me was trying to rise up and be like, no, you should be upset. It's cold outside. Like, you walking up and down, people just ride by, blowing the horn, waving and stuff like, But I started to ignoring everybody outside of me and just focusing on me. I was like, okay, wait a minute. You out here walking, your muscles are getting what they need, like the oxygen, even that whole cold to warm thing. Like, my body is getting exactly what it needs right now. Why am I worried about another person?
Cardio.
I'm getting everything, even with the experience of being prepared when it comes to my gas, because it was like, you already knew better.
Yeah.
Come on, stop playing around.
This has to be your lifestyle. You know what I mean? This is what we constantly talk about on the show. Like, winning is a habit. Winning is a lifestyle. These things that we do is a lifestyle. Nipsey said it perfectly. He even had to break this down on the pod because a lot of people didn't understand. But he said we never let a hard time humble us, and that means we live in these type of situations. When I was a kid and tripped in front of class, I could laugh at myself. I used to always get embarrassed.
I mean, when I do that now, when I'm walking down the street, I'm like, okay, who saw me? And I hope nobody got
I fell up the steps, down the steps.
And like,
this ain't gonna humble me. Falling on my face. I fall on my face all the time. So, you dig? Like, that's the point. And this is why I tell these my young fellas, my sons, like, never let them see you sweat. Be professional. We got a couple comments. Emotions in you, dig?
Amara said, what do we do when we feel that type of pressure? Like, basically on time and like gotta be somewhere. And I know for me personally, I'm recently incorporating this, even though I heard this message a long time ago from a friend that was born and raised in Kenya. She basically told me that when the work day was different than what we was working, we both was working at Aetna at the time. And she said, well, when you get to work, you kind of have your tea, you read the paper, and then you do a little bit of work, and then you have a conversation with your coworkers, and then you're out for lunch for like 2 hours. You come back, you do a little bit more work, and then you're going to have dinner or you're going to like take a nap. And I was like, well, wow, that sounds like a very relaxing day. Like, that's just crazy. She said, yeah, the pressure is not there. Like, we don't hold time the same way y'all do here. So if you arrive somewhere an hour or 2 hours late, nobody is like blowing your phone up 100 times. Nobody's calling several people to have a conversation about your whereabouts when they don't know your whereabouts because they ain't talked to you because you ain't answering the phone for whatever reason. But the energy that they muster up is negative because of control. We want to control. So what I would say is, when you're feeling pressure, is remember you have you're in a position to relinquish the control that you've given to other people. by taking control yourself. Like even this morning, I gave control, obviously, by agreeing to be on this show and being here at a certain time. I know the time I'm supposed to be here, but in my dealings of getting ready today, I knew that I wasn't going to be here at the time. So I communicated as quickly as I saw, and I released the pressure of the show, of the people, of even the traffic, of anything that I was going to experience from getting here, and just saying, hey, take your time and breathe and like focus on what really matters.
There goes my voice of objectivity. Could you read Andrea's, please? Because I like when at least I get.
Oh, at the bottom when she says, "I am
yeah,
not."
I'm gonna add on to what you said too.
At that,
I am not a that's what you get person naturally. However, I feel things we experience on a direct result of our own actions.
Yes, exactly.
And I only get that from Minister Louis Farrakhan because we're both, we both, follow some of the teachings of Minister Louis Farrakhan. So Mr. Louis Farrakhan says, when you see a brother fall on his face, do not laugh. Do not laugh because God can humble you just as fast. So therefore, I'm saying, my brother, the one who antagonizes me, I would rather you not. I would rather you not antagonize me. But when I see you fall, I'm like, brother, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. In my mind, I can say,
and I hear
that's
that.
what you get.
I hear that.
Right?
But what if you're not afraid of being humbled? Then what? Can you laugh?
Every time I put this halo, on him, these horns always.
You gotta worry about being humble.
Thank you for being the true Scorpio that you are. You know what I'm saying?
It just feels fear-based. Like, don't laugh because it might be you. Okay, I'm gonna fall with you. Let's laugh together.
Wally, don't encourage him. Do not encourage him. No.
And I'm learning now that I have been in a mindset to somewhat follow. My son was like, why do you say that? And I was like, oh shit, that is somebody. So I heard somebody say it, and so I was repeating something for someone. So I follow certain things in that way. I'm learning now not to. But no, I agree because this is my life, right? And I'm brand new to this. So I agree with the fact of, listen, shit is hard out here for everybody.
Right.
And the same way you hurt and cry, I hurt and cry too. I just make it look pretty. You understand?
It's within context too. This is why we always have to figure out what the context are we in. Because this happened to us as kids. We might be in the wrong circle. Right. You think people laughing with you and they laughing at you. Okay. So when you fall on your face, I'm laughing with you. I'm laughing in a way like, get up.
I got you. We got it.
Like this ain't you crying. This ain't the end of the world. Look, some people laughing. Right. You got choices. You're choosing to be hurt. I didn't tell you to hurt when you fell down. You chose that.
It's more on experience. Like I've had so many life experiences. Like when somebody is going through something similar or that's not even. I'm like, come on, honey.
Yeah.
Come on, boo. Let me. Like I done been through some things. So I'm here to tell you, like, if the faster that you can laugh this off, the faster your healing starts. Like the faster you can see it as like, man, ain't nobody to blame. Let me understand how I ended up here. Like even in things in my childhood, okay, it's easy to be like, go back and try to blame all these people. Like you said earlier in the show, everybody was dealing with their stuff. So now why am I placing blame on you? You was mentally whatever, multiple things going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did your thing to me, but to hold something over your head as though, hey, you better this or you this and that and the other, rather than saying, okay, no, how has that affected how I see life today? That is the bigger picture for me personally and healing and growth.
Tell me, just seems like the type of person that says, you don't like me, I'm gonna make it worse.
Niggas is gonna hate you regardless. Get that out of your head, that fantasy world where niggas ain't hating on you. You gotta be grateful. You need haters. What the fuck is you complaining about? What the fuck do you think a hater's job is? To fucking hate. So let them motherfuckers do their goddamn job. What the fuck is you complaining about? Ladies, if you got 14 women hating on you, you need to figure out how to fuck to get to 16 before the summer gets here.
Y'all agree?
Yes. I agree with it on the standpoint of as I've been living my life, people have been hating on me for no reason. Yeah. And I never really saw it as hate because I'm always showing up like with a basket of goods, like, hey, everybody's, hey, we all in this together. Hey, I'm here for us to win. Yeah. And knowing that you got something in the back of your mind to try to end me is like, do you know who I am? Oh, you don't know. So that's the only reason why I can think that people would hate me the way that they do. They don't know, or it's deeper inside of them that it's like a reflection. Like they're supposed to be something that I've accomplished.
Sure.
And so they're seeing it, and they can't. They're like, I don't know how to get there. You know what I mean?
They don't know how to process what's happening to you and not happening to them. But for me, like I don't mind having haters. Like honestly, my closest friends started through like adversity. You know what I mean? A lot of the friendships that I had that we were just best buds in the beginning, I can't tell you where they at. The people we was butting heads, and I'm like, this probably ain't going far. We are best of friends. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to start in the dark to work your way to the light. Yeah, but we've been trained so much to look for the light, we run from the dark. And there's nothing in the darkness but parts of you haven't discovered yet. There's no boogeyman, there's no monsters, there's no people out to get you. You know what I mean? And even if we break down hate to me is just misguided love. Like there is no such thing as hate. Right. This is what we have to start understanding about terminology. There is no such thing as darkness. Darkness is just the absence of light. Light is the only thing that exists. So darkness comes when you get rid of the light. It's the same with hate. Sure. It's someone's ability to want to love you, but they don't know how to love you. They don't know how to accept that people just bring you food and they starving. They can't make that make sense because everyone told them the world was black and white. Do unto others and they'll do unto you. Be good to people, they'll be good to you. Listen, it's all BS. It's all BS.
I was bending literally.
People gonna do what they want to do.
The paint a picture, I was believing that, and if I could draw paint an illusion of me bending over and somebody kicking me in my ass with that thought process of, you know, like, oh, turn the other cheek, or, you know, just being in a certain atmosphere, expecting everyone to be in the same vibe and thoughts as you really messed me over. And so I was like, I need to feel people out first and see their intentions beforehand, because then I can go in with the protection that I need and navigate the situation.
Discernment.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, it's like for this, you can't have it both ways. So it's the person like, I got all these haters, and then they say, why everybody hating on me? Like, you can't if this is what you're welcoming, right?
And I don't ask why.
I don't either.
I think when people do, it's really them projecting like the moment's too big. Like, this is overwhelming. You know what I mean? But this is why I keep my mentors, my philosophy. Nip said the same thing. Like, I can't stress about where I'm at. I asked for this. I wanted this. Like, how am I gonna turn around and complain about it? I wanted these kids. I wanted this house. I wanted this lifestyle. So do it. You know what I mean? At that point, we shouldn't be talking about it no more. We should be living it. But we're kept to talk about these things because people aren't living it. It's the fear of what could happen if you actually do it.
And that goes back to, you know, what you were saying. I'm glad you know, that came back full circle, because I don't want, me personally, people to feel bad for what they want. You know, if you want a life full of, you know, luxury and stuff like that, I don't want you to feel bad for that, right?
Yeah.
But like you, I don't want that to be your everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't want that to just be your, I mean, I want you to have a soul. I want you to, you know, be in tune with the true gifts that God really, but I can't expect that from everybody as well. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what their conditioning was. I don't know what their, you know what I'm saying, their life path was. Yeah. So I don't condemn somebody who, like, you know, every time I turn around, look at my brand new car, look at my jewelry and this, that, and the other. I'm like, that might be your identity. That might be what makes you feel good. You know what I'm saying?
It's very
no,
I have thoughts about that. I have what you're saying about the people you're speaking to. I have thoughts about that.
Because for me, it's like, especially if I pour it into you and I've already tried to give you nuggets to let the materialistic stuff go, and I see where you're struggling at, I don't want to be associated as much, because you're still being pulled further down. Like, you're not growing in this area. This is a main area, especially if you always calling me, telling me about your stuff, like shoes, or like, you got bigger fish to fry, brother.
You can't tell 50 Cent he's not growing. You can't, and you can't tell 50 he's not growing. This is what he lives by.
I get that argument, but 50's been 50 before the money, so that's different. A lot of people get that money and change, or they become a new person. See, that's when I have to call your bluff. Like, life is simple for me because I live by philosophies and principles. I'm a person of principle. Everything's principle to me. It's rarely emotional. So for me, the philosophy is like, let's say I want to be a chef, and I'm cooking for a year, and I meet Wali, and she's like, yo, like, them greens ain't in. If I stop cooking at that day, did I really want to cook? Right. Can I make the argument this is something I want to do, and one person's opinion caused me to stop doing it? Is this something I really wanted to do? Because the things I want to do, can't nobody get in my way. When I wanted to do a podcast, ain't nothing stopped that. Not having the equipment, not having the supporters, not having the time, nothing stopped it because that's what I wanted to do. You feel me? When I had a little inkling, I wanted to go to the military, and I thought more on it. I was like, it wasn't what I want to do. It made sense. I could see how it would be nice for me, but it's not what I wanted to do. So a lot of people are trapped in something they think they want. It's the same as the relationship. You're in love, but you're really in infatuation. You're calling it love. You know what I mean? You really want companionship. You don't want a relationship, and these things are different. So it's easy to say you want the first thing you saw. My kids do it too. Oh, I want that bike on TV. No, you don't. You're right. I don't. Like, exactly. If someone can change your mind like that, you might not want what you think you want. I want
that. Because everybody else like that. That was a lesson my dad gave my sister. It was everybody was eating coconut macaroons, and she was like, I wasn't eating. Like, you don't really want that. You just want it because everybody. No, I want it. Gave it to her. What the hell is that? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody else wanted it. Like you said, that might not be necessarily for you, this lifestyle. Yeah. And this is why I'm careful about being envious of people. Because I was like, I don't know what it took to get that. Man, listen. I don't know what you had to do, or if it was placed upon me. Could I have the same shoulders that you have? Could I carry this out the way that you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so go ahead.
I've shared this on your show before that I literally manifested a person based off of somebody else that I had seen, like their relationship. Yeah. I was like, yo, you know, I didn't know he was a dope boy. I didn't know nothing about the streets. Like, I knew nothing. This was like still like teen 20s.
Sure. It looked fun, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like, man, you know, she could stay home.
They make life look real fun.
She cooking all the time. Like, I love to cook. Even back then, it was like, she cooking all the time. Like, you know, she ain't got to work if she don't want to. But I didn't know what he was doing, right? Mm-hmm. So, wind up in a relationship. This person was a dope boy. Mm-hmm. But then I found out in that relationship while I was first starting in her relationship, he was, you know, a couple times, you know. And I didn't know. I was like, yo, I thought everything was, you know, peaches and cream. Like, you know, she's like, no, every now and again. I'm like, every now and again, you beat your ass? What? Yeah. I dealt with a situation with my friend, the person I was in communication with, but it played back to the conversation that I had with her a year prior, that she told me it was abusive, and I literally envied her. I literally manifested the same relationship that she had, the same flow. If I wanted to stay home, I didn't have to work, all types of stuff. Yeah. But I literally did that. So yeah, you should not be envying people. More so, like, if I feel like somebody is happy and they're good, I'm excited and happy with them. Yeah. But I want what I'm supposed to get, and it ain't what nobody else got because I ain't seen it yet. I can't even put myself in a box to be like, oh, I want what you got, or this and that and the other, because I want exactly what's for me. Like that's what I'm in search for.
Yeah, I think we gotta play out the whole sentence, and it's easy. Like, a lot of things are taught to us in extremes. This lesson was taught to us as, like, if your friends jump off a bridge, you're going to jump off too. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to grasp all of this from that. So we got to finish the whole sentence when we think of things, because it's also not wrong to see what somebody has and want that for yourself. I drive by big houses all the time like, ooh, that would be nice. You know what I mean? But the full sentence is I love that for you. I want that for myself too, but I love that for you. You know what I mean? Because if I'm just saying I want that for myself, it sounds like I don't want you to have it, or I want yours. You know what I mean? And I don't want yours. I want to do what you were able to do. That's all my mentors. They found words that I didn't know how to speak. Yeah. They found a way to stay in a tough situation I used to run from. They found a way to make amends with people they were at odds with. That's what I was envious of. It's good to be envious of those type of good qualities, but I'm not envious of your life. I don't want the glasses Delayne got. You know what I mean? I don't want my beard to look like his. Both of ours is unique. See, that's how we start getting in the middle, but things aren't taught to us like that. They're just taught, get yours. And it doesn't tell you about everybody else's stuff and leave their stuff alone, or promote their stuff and support their stuff. It just says, get yours.
Or ask them how they...
Just get yours by any means, too. You know what I mean?
And that goes back to Tyler Perry, right? Because as Tyler Perry was getting turned down, failure after failure after failure, he was looking at everybody just bypassing him. And he said, had these doors been open, I would have been forgot about in 5 years, 3 to 5 years. Had those doors that I wanted to go through been open, I would have been forgot about. Had Jay-Z been signed we would not have heard about the Jay-Z billionaire that we hear till today had he been signed. And this is why I say, God, I thank you, because the failures that I have, I'm like, okay, now there's a Tim, there's a Wali, there's a School, there's a Tony, you know what I'm saying? And now I get to learn this business from the ground up. I get to learn everything about this business instead of saying, okay, just sign here and now I got to be your puppet. Now I get to pull the strings because I did this myself. You know what I'm saying? You did this yourself. You did this yourself. So now I don't have to be your puppet, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what a lot of times people do. They want the life so bad, they'll sign away anything. Or they'll just give me the money, you know what I'm saying? Not knowing what's behind door number 3, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes, like you said, the path is like, man, let me slow this down a little bit. Let me
because I think that fits into the question before about the pressure. Like a lot of times, again, this stuff is self-inflicted. Like you are putting the pressure on yourself. Like I tell people to take heed to stuff J. Cole says. Like, you want a lifestyle like mine? Like, see how I spend my time. Watch how my day goes start to finish. That'll give you an indication of why things are going this way. Like, a lot of people are complaining that they don't get enough time to go out for their job. When I had a job, I got off work. I used to read, I'll watch a movie and go to sleep, get back up and go to work. I had no life outside of work because that's all I could focus on at the time. This was really my first time being in the industry. You know what I mean? Because when I was younger, I hooped and did school. I didn't really start working a job until I was like 23. Right. So I'm behind. Motherfuckers been working since 13, 16, 18. I was behind. You feel me? But as much as I kept thinking, like, man, how's it going to be? Is there going to be nice kids at the job? Is they going to actually pay me when they say they're going to pay me? And I had to go figure it out. I had to show up day one. You can wonder and worry about life all you want, but you got to go see about it. Eventually, you got to go actually experience it. So sometimes the pressure is, we got too much stuff going on. You got too many people you obligated to meeting up with and making sure you call. You know what I mean? You got to catch this show when it's on at 7. Like, that's too much pressure in itself. And you got a full-time job and kids. So you got to, it sounds like you need to prioritize your life. You feel me? And start dumbing things down. But sometimes that's, I think, what America is. We're at a loss for time. We ain't rich when we thought we should be rich. My song ain't went platinum yet. You know what I mean? Enough people don't know my name yet. So we always we want something. We always asking for something. That's what I mean along the lines. We always wanting something. We want to be in a different position where we are. I want this person to talk to me better. I wish my job paid me more. That's wanting. You know what I mean? That's constantly asking for things. And me, I'm like, this is fine. All right, I only got this loaf of bread for you today. That's cool. That's fine. It's something. You know what I mean? That's when the art of comparison is a beautiful thing. Somebody didn't eat today. So this bread's enough for me. How can I act like this ain't enough? There's a kid starving right now.
So, you know, the law of attraction, right? Teaches us to be grateful for that loaf of bread. But to still behave like a king. So therefore, you can still attract this abundance. It may not necessarily be abundance in riches, but the abundance of not lacking, right? So even though you get this bread that you didn't know where it was coming from, that gratitude got you more. You know what I'm saying? And that more could have been Tony starving. Hey, Tony, I didn't have no bread. Got a loaf of bread today, but now on the third day, I got 3 loaves of bread. You want one? You know what I'm saying? So now it puts us in a position to give. Prime example.
Absolutely.
Me and Harmony, and then everybody, I got 100 likes on this story. This was crazy because, you know what I'm saying, I had the money, but we were in Giant Eagle, putting all the stuff on, you know, grocery lists for the week and stuff like that. You know, groceries ain't cheap. Everybody knows that. So the lady looks ahead of us. She said, "Hey, sir, are you paying, you know, cash or card?" You know, and I'm like, "I'm paying card." She just stays lingering around. And so when the lady gave the total, she said, hey, I got it. Now, I'm used to people buying coffee and stuff like that, but a whole thing of groceries, like, yo, you sure? She was like, no, I got it. And I'm like, yo. And I said, God, I thank you. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what you have for the rest of, you know, the money that I have, or, you know, how to be a good steward over that. But I thank you for this time. This lady had the benevolence and the charity to say, hey, let me help you out. So again, I don't know what she was grateful for. I don't know what position that God allowed her to say, let me buy all of your groceries. So that's a dope, you know what I'm saying?
A lot of times for me, I guess the thing that would be separating anyone is it's the mindset. You know what I mean? It's how you speak to yourself. And this is sometimes what hinders us from making sure everybody in the room got a piece of that bread. And it's because in our mind, we're saying, I want all the bread. or I don't never want to be, I don't never want to starve again. I don't never want to not be hungry again. But people like me say, I want everybody to eat. So I'm gonna make sure everybody eat, even if I got one loaf, if I got tea. You know what I mean? The only thing that's gonna change is the quality of how much we eat. But I'm making sure everybody eat. And under that precedence, that's where you gotta practice what you preach. Because under that precedence, if even Walisha can't eat, I'm not eating today. Even if we got enough. If there wasn't enough for her, there ain't enough for me. And that's how it has to be. So this is where we're not forming these villages because everybody's just running up, grabbing all the bread.
Is that
we didn't even discuss nothing?
Are you saying that because you know Walisha, or if Walisha was a stranger, would you still?
Nah, just in general. I'm saying it because, and this is to me what the gift I give to other people. I'm doing that just because I don't want her to go through that alone. But there may be a lesson, there may be a journey that maybe I ate too much in the past. Maybe I don't appreciate my food. So I could be getting a lesson from this and still be serving her. Two things can be true.
Yeah. I'm loving this thing today. I'm loving this thing.
But it's manipulation when I come to Walisha, like, let me feed you. I feel like it's motive behind it. And I'm not saying it will always, but when someone comes to me like that, 95% of the time, I feel like, what you want? Right. Why you so predicated on feeding me? Because again, I didn't say I was going to feed her. I said everyone gets fed. She fits into the everyone.
Yeah.
That's principle. That's the only way I look at it. I'm not giving her special treatment. If it was you this time that wouldn't eat, I wouldn't eat either. But again, that's when we see people's true colors. Yeah. That's when you see that person trying to get with Walisha. I ain't gonna eat because she ain't eat. Now Delayne starving, he stuff your face. You be all right, he big boy, he good. Like, nah, we gotta keep that same energy, young, old, black, whatever, kid, you know what I mean? Woman, man, we gotta keep that same energy.
That goes back to the people that have that camera on when they giving stuff to the homeless and stuff like that. I'm like, what are you really doing it for? Yeah. You may not be wanting to tax them, but you want that self-gratitude. You want that self-praise to be like, oh, I helped somebody today. You know what I'm saying?
I get blasted for this because I don't really give money to homeless people. And people have given me shit as long as I've been doing positive radio, but I don't like it. I don't. This money is not about to help you. Like, if I can get you a job, I'd rather do that. If I can give you a situation where you can lay down at night, I just don't see how $10 is going to help you.
I ain't realizing the difference between us.
That's just me. I don't get it.
Uber and Lyft, and somebody in my backseat that's using my services and think that they can get lean out the car and get money. Like, no.
Yeah, run that.
Like, no, you exactly. Listen, you in my car, you don't roll down my window to get out. What's wrong with you?
Listen, I hate to put my significant other's business in the street, but baby, I'm sorry, but she's like that.
Oh, she team us, baby.
She's like that. Only because. And then, She'll be like this. She'll be like, "Did you get that man some money?"
It irritates my whole. It irritates my whole, especially when I see black people doing it. They're like, "You got your whole wheel falling off, bro."
Yeah.
This must be a millennial thing.
I don't do it.
Y'all millennials.
I'll give you a bottle of water. I'll give you some food. I'll give you straight substance.
Right. Exactly.
But giving you money where I feel like your inability to manage money got you here somewhat. I don't think. You know, you get what I'm saying? That'd be like a person being sober. You know what I mean? For 20 years. And then they see me at the bar and I got my bottle and they want to drink. You know what I mean? Yeah. It ain't going to kill you, but it's a slippery slope. I don't want to be the reason that you I don't want to help you.
I ain't got that problem. I can take a drinker here.
Yeah, I'm cool with my liquor. Here's the cranberry juice. I don't want to be a part of that.
See, here's my thing. And I've grown up with a string of alcohols, and I'm not trying to diminish the comic relief because I love it.
Yeah.
But I was never a hustler, but I lived a hustler's life. You know what I'm saying? So I know about how close that proximity is. I'm like, bro, you sick.
Yeah.
You need that alcohol to feel normal. You need that rock, bro. Because like I said, never sold, but I lived the hustler's life. You know what I'm saying?
And I get people like that. So I think that trickles into what we was talking about earlier.
Help you out today.
Do you feel like you owe that person an apology or forgiveness? If, let's say we do give them that drink and something happens. Man. Do we feel like that's on us? Or is it on them to regulate their drinking?
I'm in the business.
It's why it's a slippery slope.
Two can be right. Two can be right. Two can be right. Because you're sick, bro. I see that you're sick. Yeah. Let me help you out today. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead.
But that's any other thing we were talking about as far as helping people. It only goes so far because I've been around people that's just like they don't want to acknowledge that that's the situation at all on any level. Like I have, and this is only pre-COVID. Like again, Ohio, sales taxes for alcohol raised like 40-something%, and most of that, half of that, like 20-something, was in Columbus, was in Franklin County. Mm-hmm. So again, the bigger issue, I didn't know how to deal with, and I don't want to be responsible for adults in that way. Over any types of substance that you're taking. I don't want to be responsible for you doing what you're doing.
Drea, it's not about being helpful, sweetie.
What's the comment?
But is that really being helpful? And I'm like, it's not about me being helpful.
Yeah,
it's about me. It's about my empathy at the time. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That's all it's about. It's not. I know I'm not helping them. I know that, but being that I have trauma with, not me personally addiction, but I have trauma with addiction. I've been around addiction all my life.
And when you see things that close and personal, honestly, from my experience, a lot of the episodes I seen was not when they were intoxicated. It was because they didn't have it.
Exactly.
It's because they didn't know when they was gonna get it again, and they ready to implode. They ready to blow up.
And Tim, I
see your side. I see your side for sure.
And especially when I've seen teenagers and I've given them $20 and $50. Why? Because I'd rather give you that $50 because I know what you're about to do if you don't get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And to your point, I may have only saved you today. I don't know what you're gonna do tomorrow. Yeah. But today, you're gonna live to see another day.
And
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
The beauty in everything's perspective. Because if one person could be looking at it and say Lane didn't do a disservice, another person could be saying you gave him another day. Some people only need another day to turn things around. They just need that one more day. Because today they felt hopeless. Yeah. They felt like there was no tomorrow. So you just need to show them like, bro, you gonna wake up.
Yeah.
You're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
But that feeds into, that's my intention behind laughing with people. I'm trying to show you it's not the end of the world. People have been hurt before. We're going to be hurt again. Yeah. It's not it's going to be okay. Because a lot of times they're numbing that pain.
Right. And
that's the liquor. You're trying to numb something. Like, not feel that.
It's a lifelong lesson to understand that, like, if you feel this compassionate about it, like, what can you, like, it's really only to push you to grow. Like, literally, I've truly stand 100% by with all the things that I've been experiencing. It's like when I come into a stance that makes me cry or makes me feel a certain way, hurt or sad, I am in the mindset of what got me here and how can I never be in this position again. Also, how can I never have somebody else in this position? Because it's not a great space for me. I don't feel good.
Sure.
But I know that I done something. I opened up some door, or I allowed someone in the space to hold space here. And then I got to go back and ask myself more questions. Why did I think it was okay to allow them there? Yeah. Or why did I allow? So it's a lot of conversation that you can have with yourself when you're in these moments. We just are taught to be like, oh, what was me? Like for instance, real quick before you share this, the lady yesterday told her son up, like not told him off, like not whipped him, but verbally, in my backseat of the Uber, right? And I'm trying to calm her down. Like, it's okay. Like, she's late to wherever she got to be. She opens up this office. She says she got sick people outside waiting for her. And I'm like, and all of that is still going to be okay. Yeah. She give me first of all, I have the wrong address. So I take her to the wrong location. And she's on the phone the whole time just talking about the fact that he was late, he didn't communicate, and all this projecting,
narrating,
all of this stuff to another person. Mind you, no accountability of you. You a grown woman. You just said several times, why do I deserve this? He's my son. Why can't he communicate? He's your son. Okay. And even if he was your man, still you have some accountability to hold. If you got to be somewhere, then you got to be somewhere, not me.
Exactly.
Like, even if I'm the one picking you up, you should be calling and making the short, like everything, like all these steps that she could have taken, she didn't. And she just went to bash. And I'm trying to pour into her. She looked at me and didn't see my age or whatever. So she didn't want to take anything I had to say. She was just like, like you're younger, like, you don't really know. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you what I know. Yeah. Like, you are holding on this feeling of not being able to control the situation. And it's okay that you're not in control because you ain't even got no car. Like, you're in my car.
Exactly.
So you ain't controlling shit.
Exactly.
Right. You understand? You got the key to open up the building when you get there. But again, right now you ain't controlling nothing. So to call your son and she dumped on him. And I tried to warn her. I don't know this woman from a can of paint, but I was like, yo, that probably is not good. She's like, no, he needs to hear the energy that I'm in now because he'll never get it. Control again. You try to control all of these entities because you can't control self. Mm-hmm. Like you lack self-control. So you're trying to control your son, where he at, his whereabouts. He's a grown man. He didn't come home last night and she didn't know until the last minute. You put the wrong address in the Uber. You did that. Own up. Because that's something that you could have controlled, right? Yeah. I can only control my car to go so fast. But she looking at me sideways like, look, I understand the situation. But again, I kept on telling her, just calm down. Like, just calm down. There's nothing you can do right now. We want to control so much.
And you know what? And I come from that. Good. There was because I come from that generation again of, you know what I'm saying, the elders run it, right? Yeah. And so, you know, being that I deal with a lot of millennials right now, there was this one child that was acting out, and you know, at one token, you know, the child is allowed to act out, and then another token, the child is definitely gotten with, like, so I'm like, what's the difference between this time and that time? And it was explained to me, when I see this person acting out in this way, there are certain words I listen for. There are certain actions that I listen for. And I know that that person has another frustration going. That child has that. There's something else. And I need to find out what that something else is. And then there's a certain level of disrespect. Like, I've allowed this to go on for a certain amount of time. And they were saying, like, listen, now it comes to the point where, but, you know, we got no chances. But, you know what I'm saying? I love the fact that millennials and going forward are allowing this expression, like, okay, let me find out what's behind this pain, what's going on. But if not, then because, you know, again, I'm not against T.I. fucking King Up, right? Yeah. I'm not against that because, you know, you're a grown person. And if you step to me, I'm going to show you how a grown man steps to, you know what I'm saying, a person. So that, again, we can't have it both ways, so that you'll know, you know what I'm saying, this is how you get dealt with. Because I'd rather do this because you're going to go out here and think that you big bad T.I. son, somebody going to really sock you. And then, you know what I'm saying, you're going to feel that weight. Now, I know a lot of people like, that's coming from dad and this, that, and the other. But I'm saying I cannot say what I don't know where T.I.'s coming from, because how many times has he let King get one off? Yeah. I got you. But now, you know what I'm saying? Let me deal with it.
You know what I mean? Before I came, I just kept on getting all
it's ongoing. It's more than like one clip.
I was trying to keep up. I kept seeing the memes and stuff like that, but I couldn't keep up.
Away from the memes.
Yeah, it's the ongoing thing. Essentially, to sum it up, T.I. feels King is trying to be like the hood guy, and he's like, you wasn't raised like that. And he's like, I grew up with my grandma. Like, how you telling me how I was raised? You wasn't there. So, I mean, they both have a perspective. For me, like I said, I keep myself out of other people's households. You know what I mean? So I can't tell someone not to whip their kids. There's a reason why I don't whip my kids. There's a reason why I don't use those tactics. And it's because all of this, no matter what we say or do, is communication. So I'm communicating to you. When I have to whoop you, I'm telling you I have no other option. I have nothing else I can do. There's nothing I can say to you. There's nothing I can do. So to a kid, they're not going to understand that, because sure, there's plenty you can do. Again, I wasn't even raised by you. So what do you mean you tried everything you can draw? This sounds like you just wanted to beat up on somebody. This sounds like you just wanted to whoop me into submission.
He yoked him. He didn't hit him.
But what point of understanding are we gonna get if I gotta put my hands on you? That changes the whole dynamic. Yeah. When I'm in a business relationship with people, we gotta go to hands. It's over. There is no coming back from this. That's true. So again, the fact we're doing it in our home, like you said, what makes it different over here versus over here? Why didn't you beat up your boss yet?
Right, exactly.
if you such the bully, you beating up people now. Why didn't you beating everybody up? But you beating the small person who can't fight you back. You're beating a defenseless person. So again, what you're doing is saying a lot to them. Yeah. They're not just thinking, oh, they whoop me, they love me, they want what's best for me. No, they think this is how you handle problems. But the problem is they've seen you handle problems and they've never seen you do it like this until it came to them. That to make it seem like you got beef with me. That make you seem like an op.
It's also teaching them that it's okay to put your hands on people when you're angry. And
yeah.
I totally agree.
Beat your problems up.
Me and Ty had a conversation about, he was like, you know, I know I got some past trauma I got to heal through. I'm thankful for my son. He's 23 and he is growing, following in my footsteps of healing self, right? Mm-hmm. Completely. And he was like, what happened in 2019? And I was like, oh, him and my ex got into a physical altercation. Mm-hmm. Now, I have never, even though my mother put her hands on me in a crazy way, but I have never fought any of my parents. And I can't imagine someone who raised you from the time you was younger to now put their hands on you in such an aggressive way when y'all both are kind of like grown men. Like Tariq was 19 at the time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just what that really done to him and living through that. So now the next step for this situation is, it's one thing to have that pressure of the whole school knowing that you got your ass beat, but now the whole world knows. Yeah. That is a lot of pressure for this young man to deal with in terms of how he shows up in society and how long whatever reels or whatever memes is going to be played about him. And healing through that. That's a lot.
Yeah. And that's what the world is seeing now. Like, that's not as uncommon as people would think. You know what I mean? Yeah. I almost fought my dad. I'm pretty sure my brother fought my dad. And he was the reason why I didn't. My brother just kind of talked to me. He's like, there's, because he had experienced a lot before I had. And he just told me, like, there's certain paths you don't want to go down. Like, you're not going to be able to get off that path. And he said it from a place like, you've been here before. So I took heed and I let the situation go. But I was hot. I was like 17. Like, I was very frustrated. And I was
17 too. Me and my mom.
Yeah, that's how I used to handle my situations. Right. So I didn't understand like how I'm able to get whooped my whole life, but I can't fight back. But grandma sending me to school, like, if they touch you, hit them back. Yeah. And then I telling the kids, anybody touch you, hit them back. All right, grandma.
I see it on that perspective. And even when it comes to like putting hands on your parent, the other thing that I'm seeing now is just like kids just being unapologetic about what they say to their parents. You know what I'm saying? And there are certain things that, again, I understand, but there are certain things I would have never told my parents that I've heard other people tell you.
Children are sponges. So the moment that they enter into the womb and come out into earth realm, they're already been soaking up everything that you've been trying to hide, which is why I made a post the other day. Like, I don't want to keep living in secrets. Like, I don't want to have to live in secret spaces, because everything that I'm doing, whether it is rolling a spliff or having a shot here and there or having some adult conversation, all my children should be able to experience certain level of what I shouldn't have to. My parents know what's going on. So who am I hiding from?
Yeah, and we gotta set that precedence. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in anybody's household, but I've been in public.
You said that.
I've seen the worst of it. Like, I've seen people say to their kids, like, you was a mistake. We didn't even plan you. Stuff like, listen, why do you think your kid ain't gonna tell you they hate you? Like, do you know what you just said to them?
Sponges, right? So
that's crazy.
I had one of my cousins told me when he was about 12 or 13. He was like, y'all always said I was bad, so I went and did that. Yeah. From a youth, he was naturally called bad because of who his father was. People just automatically called him bad. And then people stop doing this shit. First of all, y'all is with your words. Stop calling these kids bad, because they are learning how to manage in the earth realm at their age. They're not bad. What is bad about them is they're not given the love and the attention that they're needed to navigate earth realm. Okay, like, some children are not bad before we're speaking it over them, before they actually have the chance to experience a bad lifestyle or consider, hey, I just want to be wrong. You understand? And on top of that, they learning this shit from somewhere. So if they're not learning it on television, if they're not learning it in school, they might primarily learn. They stay watching you, mama and daddy. They seeing you, right? They seeing you on the phone, and then y'all watching whatever reality shows that y'all watching. The children are not silly. They're not dumb, and they're learning faster and faster. So if you don't want the child that's going to produce, if you don't want this seed that's producing this, you have to stop injecting them with this turkey baster of shit.
So question for both of you. Is there a point in time where we release that authoritative role over our children?
Yeah, to me is when they no longer need it, or we have to release it if it's in an area that we cannot help them in. A lot of parents are trying to be their child's savior, and to me, I get my kids to help. So if you want to learn how to play piano, I'm taking you to a professional. I'm not going to just pretend we know what we're doing. So you have to relieve that when you no longer can suffice them. When they no longer need you to pay their bills, you need to release that. It's based on their schedule. So this is why all these kids were getting thrown off, because the schedule for everyone became 18 right. or 15, or I left the house at 16. You know what I mean? So everybody was different, but we all felt we weren't welcome no more. I felt a burden that you was buying me a sandwich. And just 5 years ago, you buy me everything on the menu. Right. But now all of a sudden, it's kind of like I'm taking away from you, or like, you get what I'm saying? Like, and people make you feel like that. Yeah. People make you feel like you're in the way or you're taking up space. So a kid, like, this is when I lock in the most. All of these sayings hold true. They say you should worry most about a kid when they're quiet. Right. So if I'm watching a movie or something, they just come sit down, they silent, I turn the channel, like, what you doing? What you listening to? Like, what you up to? I'm on the phone, they just quiet. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna call you back. You know what I mean? But if they playing, they in their own world, I let them do that. Like, too many times too, I feel like we disrupt their world. Right, like, what you doing? We'll put them in a safe environment and snatch them out. Come on, I need you to run the store with you. You know, sometimes you just gotta let your kid be. We can't always be trying to parent and teach them, because a lot of parenting is through example. They are watching you. Right. They feel how you feel. They watch how people respond to you. You know what I mean? So that's why we get to healing, because that's the best thing I can do for my kid. Show you how to be a decent human being. Right. And that's what got hurt in the past. And it was a beautiful system. That's why sometimes when we challenge the way a thing is, it seems like we're discrediting it. But no, again, two things can be true. So back in the day, I think what hurt us, but it's one of my favorite things. What hurt us is the idea, the stigma of righteousness belonged to a person. It was in Big Mama. It was in the OG. It was in Mom. So when they came around, everybody straightened up. But when they was gone, it was a free-for-all. So what we learned from that, millennials, is I got to put the lessons in you. I can't make myself the authoritarian. I got to teach you how to be a good person. That's what was done for me. We had similar upbringings. I was around a lot of elders. Right. They didn't teach me to love my grandma. They taught me to respect my elders. See, those are two different things. Because my grandma fit in that elders, both of them. You know what I mean? Shit, I had three. I had hella grandmas. Love me a grandma. They were my elders, but I had to learn that, because even out, they would never allow me to go too far into that. Oh, grandma, you the best, you this. No, there's other good women out there, baby. She would always keep me in check. When I'm trying to give her all the praise, grandma don't do all that. You know what I mean? You're going to meet a nice young girl. She's going to be better than grandma. I needed that. And I'm trying to give her the glory so bad. Yeah. But she ain't want it. Why? Because she didn't need it. She gave it to herself every day. And she was Christian. My grandma was devout. She lived church. Absolutely. Don't talk crazy about church around her. I didn't just talk none of that spiritual stuff when she was alive. God rest her soul. Because she would have popped me in the mouth. You know what I mean? So for my respect for her, I was okay with being that person. You know what I mean? When she transitioned, it went up from there. I went down my path, but I did that just out of respect for her. You know what I mean? I didn't fake Christian, but I respected my grandmother. That was important to me.
I like the perspective that she did give me, though. It's like, it wasn't like, I'm not pushing you anywhere. Mm-hmm. But as long as you're under my house, these are my rules. Now, once you leave, you have to stay gone. Because now you made a decision. You know what I'm saying? You made a decision. I'm not pushing you out.
Yeah, but a lot of these things we do, we haven't sat down enough to say, again, it was, for me, it was how I was treating my pastor versus how I was treating my husband when I first got the lesson. Because it was like, hey, I would be willing and open to argue with you a situation. But when it came to this person, I would dare never argue with my pastor, my man of God. What is wrong with you? Like, the thought process was wrong when I was like, wait a minute. So I'm willing to talk down to my father and my husband. But this man I do not know. Like you said, straighten up. We straighten up, right? Mm-hmm. We should be doing that all the way around with all the connections we have. And nobody should get a short end of the stick because of the title that they hold or whatever in our life. Like, everybody should get a delivery of the same amount of respect. You understand?
I check myself, because when everybody has roles as far as the functionality of the house, but when it's that person's role at that point to have the functionality of the house, that's like, okay, I need it done this way, this way. So, I was just trying to say, well, why don't you do it too? You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, yeah. Oh, because when you are leading, right? And there's a role to lead, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I have the vision. This is the best option for us all. Let me show you the way. So at that point, there's really no use of, putting a bunch of rebuttal on that. So like you said, when you're living up under your parents' rules, or, you're living in a household where, let's say the wife does have the functionality of the house. You're not a punk by saying, hey, could you pick that up? Could you get this for me? You're not a punk for doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, she's running the functionality house the same way as like, okay, baby, this is what we're doing here with the bills. You know what I'm saying? This is the role that I'm taking. So, woman, it's like, you're not being controlled.
Yeah.
Because husband says, this is what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm leading in this area. But as you said, to your point, I love that point. It's like, who's running point? You're a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
We're all on the same team, but I just happen to be running point. So could you explain for the people what a point guard does?
Yeah, so point guard facilitates. They control the offense, they run the plays. But what makes the point guard unique is they have to know everyone's position, not just their own. Everyone else only needs to know their function. Point guard needs to know you're in the wrong place because I know where you're supposed to be.
Talk about it. You preaching now.
So that's the epitome of a leader, you know what I mean? But where society got away from that, the same with healers, is people are trying to do it. And this is a universal law. Only the people that deserve power are the ones not trying to seek it. Only a good leader is someone who's not trying to be a leader. This is inherently who they are. They're just the best person for the job. So a lot of people start seeing the credentials that came with the job. They're like, oh, I want that job. Exactly. Again, that want factor. I want something. I got to be this. This person has it. That looks pretty cool. And when you're doing that, you're not being present. You're not focusing on what you have. So everything you and Alicia said, it brought everything around full circle in the beginning. This is why you shouldn't be worried if you have haters or not. Why are your haters getting more of your attention than your loved ones? That's your problem.
Right.
Why are you focused on your haters so much? They're there. Don't worry where they are. They're there. But why are you there? Why are you focused on who's opposing you instead of who's supporting you? See how life is always our fault. It's always something we can change about what we're doing. And we hinder that when we're trying to find how this is someone else's fault. Or Delayne didn't show up today, so I couldn't do what I needed to do. No. Because if I really wanted to do what I need to do, I would have already had it set up in place. And this is why we need boundaries. Because even as kids, people put this on them. And I tell them, kid, adult, all the same. You having an unplanned emergency does not warrant urgency in my life. The fact that you were not ready for your life is not about to get me up off this couch any quicker. Yeah. I'll be there when I said I was going to be there. Exactly. Get your ducks in a row. You feel me? Because, you went out Saturday. You went out Sunday. You find time to do these things. Find time to get your life on track. So it gets to the point where now we're not being hard on people, but also I can't empathize and sympathize with everybody either, especially when you're choosing to be stagnant in a world where we're forced to be progressive now. The veil is lifted. You can't hide behind misinformation. You can't say, oh, I didn't know. Oh, you know. Yeah. The information is out there. What are you going to do with it? Now we're constantly being challenged. So to a person who lives like that, why would that rattle you? Why would that bother me? But to someone who that's new to, you're going to be triggered by everything someone says. Oh, it's a nice day. It ain't that nice. All right. and a person like me, you're right. I'm not about to bicker with you. I'm not about to argue with you.
Exactly.
You know what?
And it's gonna make me smile deeper. Actually.
Yeah,
really
you're right.
And really appreciate it a little bit more because it's like, well, wait a minute. And I remember somebody was like, "Are you always this happy?" Like, what do you mean? No, life hit me just the same way it hit everybody else. My life is life and like everybody else. I just choose to really discover different things that is happening to me, like things that would have normally made me sad. I'm like, there's no point of me being sad over that. Like, it's real shit out here in the world that can make me sad, and I choose not to focus on it. I choose not to give the energy into, like you said, like finding the good people. I find the good situations or good outcomes of whatever's going on, because it's always something good. Like, it's always, what'd you say?
Two things can be true. I love that. Hey, man, this has been Good Friday with Good Life. Russ, Wali, the Birth Plug, and I am Yanti's favorite DJ, DJ Lane Love. Wali, last words before we get out of here, please.
Listen, y'all, I am 41 today.
Hey!
And I thank the university. I thank these two great individuals that I've been connected connected with. And if you are in search to grow and up in the next level, like you feel like you've been stuck and you can't figure out why you can't get whatever you desire and whatever you want, ask the right questions. Because I'm telling you, once you ask the right questions and be prepared to do the work, it is literally that simple to turn over the new leaf, to start thinking a new way to change yourself. And that's the energy I'm on. So meet me there. And sis, let's go together.
Hey.
Peace and love, y'all.
Hey, you know, I love today's conversation because we just rode the wave of what we needed to talk about, man. I really love the synergy of the show. Again, you guys are being a major part of this show now. I mean, I have to applaud the engagement that you have. I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Jessica. I want to thank you, Sunshine, Amara, Adrian, again, Trinae, man, Drea, man, Eric, Deshaun. I want to thank you. If you haven't liked this already, if you haven't liked this post, please go ahead and hit heart. It won't do you no harm to do that because it just increases what we're trying to do. Jaleesa, thank you so much. That's my cuz right there. And again, share this on your page if you haven't done that already. Trinae, thank you so much for continually putting that in the post. Continue to share this on your page because we are really trying to grow. We know within our heart that we're doing something really great. So again, continue to keep doing what you're doing. Engage. We'll definitely try to start at 9 a.m. But we did have some things that go. Not this had nothing to do with Wali. We understood what she was going to do, but us ourselves will try to start promptly because we see that you guys wait. You guys are at 8:55 waiting for us to come on. So we will be more professional for you. I will be tonight at CJ's. For the Carousel experience. So if you're not doing anything with your family, come on out. Last words from Tim. Take us home, man.
Yeah, I'm glad that y'all listen in because we're always going to drop context bombs. And through life, growth does come from adversity, but you shouldn't be using adversity to remember a situation. At the end of the day, we spoke on T.I. and King. I think those brothers love each other. And sometimes love is fighting. Sometimes love is arguing. Sometimes love is not speaking. So as long as the love is there, don't focus so much on the arguments. Don't focus on the mishaps so much. Just remember that the love is there. And I want to send love to those brothers. I hope they work that out.
Yeah.
As much as we talk about things on here, it's not for us to be messy. It's because we care about these things. We see ourselves in their lives.
Right.
Okay.
So I always want people to find their resolution. Stop looking for arguments to stay separated. Just look for that resolution.
And I want you to close this out, but I do want to say this one thing because I don't want to wait till next week to say it. We need to stay out of people's business, but when we see the reconciliation of two married people, stay out of them people's business because you don't know the Tia situation where I seen all in the comments, girl, you should have left him. You should have stayed away. You don't know when you got the sanctity of a home and you have children involved and things of that nature. You don't know why they're reconciling. You don't know what differences they are truly working out. If Keke Palmer wants to work out her situation with her husband, stay out of that marriage, right? Because basically you don't know what they have talked about. And the reconciliation terms that they have come to because, I mean, it's easy to break up. It's easy to get divorced. It's easy to do all of these things. But please stay out these people's marriage, especially when they are trying to reconcile. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you good. You good. I was just going to end with it. Thank y'all for the love. You know what I mean? Every Friday we're here to spread knowledge. We're here to spread excitement. We're here to spread empowerment. We definitely want to have fun in everything we do. But remember, these conversations are important, not just on this platform. Go home, have these with your kids, have these with your spouse, have these with your friends, have this with the person you ain't talked to since middle school. You know, but keep these conversations going because then it makes all this worthwhile. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Good show, everybody. We'll see you next week. Peace.